So, dear Dharma friends, what is it? It is Thursday, January 9th, 2024. The small ruby everyone wants has fallen out in the road. Some say it lies to the east of us. Others say to the west of us. Some say in deep waters, and others say in primitive earth rocks. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside, and what it was worth. So he wrapped it carefully in his heart cloth. The small ruby that everyone wants has fallen out in the road. Some say it lies to the east of us. Others say in money, power, youth, travel, family, children, pleasure. Some say in deep waters. Others say in primitive earth rocks. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside and what it was worth. So he wrapped it carefully in his heart cloth. Deeply rooted in this living present moment. Seeing with an open, clear, spacious awareness, beyond doubt and fear, abiding in the great equanimity, the luminous equanimity. There is a discovery to be made. This body is alive. We could say, I am alive, but why force that upon it? It is alive. And awareness exists and can know this body is alive. There's no thought required. There's no figuring it out. It is alive in that place in the universe that we would call the left foot or the right foot. It is alive in the face. It is alive in the hands and fingers. It is alive in the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen. Let us notice the trance states, the thinking, the planning, the 5 hindrances, and how discontinuous they are from being present, except when one is present with them. So please join me. I'm going to sit here quietly for a while, likely using in-breathing and out-breathing as a kind of home base, and more fundamentally, observing whatever happens with great kindness, with compassion. There is a profound, simple practice, or application of mindfulness more accurately, which I was taught by the Venerable Taungpulu Sayadaw in Rangoon, then Burma, 44 years ago. I had 5 days as a novice monk. The teaching that he offered went like this. And for this few next moments, I'd invite you to allow your eyes to open and notice that they're open. And then that morning early in Rangoon, through the interpreter, he said that my meditation object for today was seeing, and that I was to be aware of seeing constantly. And when the mind wandered, rather than coming home to the breath, I would come home to seeing. I would be awake in seeing, and watching how the mind goes off into all its different trance states. And then somehow seeing wakes up again. Seeing. This is the moment of awakening. On the second day, I had an interview which was not very helpful because through the interviewer, I would speak and then he would speak for 5 minutes and then the teacher would speak. However, I did get the instruction for the second day. Hearing. Become awake in hearing right now. Hearing. Sounds outside, sounds inside, the sound of silence, that ringing in the ears that sometimes gets exacerbated as tinnitus. Sometimes the sound of your heart. Hearing. On day 3, he summarized, now you've had seeing and hearing. Today's practice, today's meditation object is posture, sitting. Could be aware of standing or walking or running. Sitting all day. When the mind wanders, come back to sitting, the shape, the touch. On the 4th day, the instruction was, so now you've been aware a bit of seeing, hearing, sitting. Now awaken in touching the life of your left foot, your right foot, your left hand, your right hand, your buttocks in the chair, touching, the clothing where it touches you, touching, all day touching, observing the sense door of touching. This can be done driving with left foot, right hand, left hand, tongue, or, missing the most important piece, primarily seeing and observing how the visual field flows into you as a field of awareness. Seeing, checking your mirrors, knowing what you're doing. Hearing, but not leaving seeing, but adding hearing, the rush of the wind and so on. Sitting, the posture. Touching, left foot, left hand, right hand. Tongue in the mouth is also a handy one. Touch, 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 touch. And so here in our relatively silent, quiet morning, when you awaken from some florid trance state, you might just take a moment to open your eyes or to leave them open and be awake here, seeing. And one last thing, to remember that the 5 hindrances are not who we are. They are trance states. They are obscurations. So perhaps there's restlessness and agitation. There's no need to change it, just to be awake in it. So let us sit together, awake more and more, or more accurately, awake exactly as we are in this moment. Who is it that sits here? Who thinks these thoughts? Who is creating this strategy for feeling better? There is this mysterious wakefulness. It knows of wakefulness, of being present. It knows as it wakes up from the various trance states, from the restlessness and sleepy dullness and the desire and the fear and the hope and the doubt. But there's nothing to figure out, is there? There is wakefulness, presence, or not. Breathing in and out, seeing, hearing, sitting, touching. Awake to the oceanic movements of thoughts. Let us turn our heart minds from disassembling, disidentifying, to that level of tuning where we are utterly connected, where our very breaths are shared. This is the realm in which there are mothers and fathers and children and worries and plans and politics. Let us not forget and even amplify the fact that we can pay attention to this being which we would identify as myself. Again, as I did a day or two ago, I like to imagine being there as the Buddha, as little Bobby Beatty is born. Hold yourself. It doesn't take a big preamble. It can just be to remember, oh yes, I am a profoundly vulnerable person. I'm nothing but vulnerability. And use your words, whatever they are. Sometimes I love you is too much. Sometimes I'll be here with you as much as I can is enough. Sometimes you're perfect just as you are, but let your intuition, what is it that part of you that hungers and longs and is desperate for something? What does it long to hear or receive from you, the Buddha, from Kuan Yin? And what are the words you might turn over in the heart to remind yourself? May I be happy. What do I mean by happy? May I know the peace that passeth all understanding. May I feel secure in my relationship to myself. May I remember the profound beauty of my being and the countless acts of goodness from my life. The Thais have a practice. When they go to bed at night, they reflect on 3 good things they feel good about themselves from today with. And this builds up into a momentum, turning toward your own life energy, your own system. May I be kind with myself. May I be compassionate and merciful. May I honor my imperfections, value them. May I honor my failings and value them, putting down the vicious sword of judgment.